And hello and welcome everyone to the Retro Hero Video Podcast. Yes, that's right everyone. Matt and myself, the people who brought you the comic multiverse, are bringing you a brand new podcast experience. I pitched this to Matt a while ago that we should try and shake stuff up at the end of the month, and honestly I've wanted to try and do a new podcast show for a while, and this idea has kind of been ruminating in my head to do like a video book club, where instead of comics, we talk about superhero animation, which if you know me and know Matt, you know that's one of our greatest passions.
Yeah, and there's quite a bit of it out there as well.
There really, really is. Of course, I'm a big fan of OSW, and I'm like, man, you know, the stuff they do for old school wrestling is so cool. If only someone could do that for old superhero cartoons. So I naturally elected myself to be that guy to completely rip off a popular format for all of you to enjoy. And of course, you know, when it comes to naming a new podcast, I had to look and make sure. I'm like, is there a Retro Hero podcast? Yes, there is, but they haven't done anything in months, and it's only audio, not video, so it's fine that I'm taking most of the title. You see, much like Kiss Matt, it doesn't matter who did it first. It only matters who got popular doing it first.
Exactly.
So there you go. Now, obviously, when it came to deciding, well, what's our pilot episode going to be, Matt? What's the inaugural episode? And I thought, well, it's got to be Batman the Animated Series, of course.
Of course.
I mean, it's a show that we are still kind of feeling, you know, the seismic influences from all these years later, and I think they just released it again on Blu-ray not long ago, and it's all up on the app too right now.
Yeah, Blu-ray is actually how I saw this episode. I have the Blu-ray set, and
Nice.
it gave me a reason to go back and actually try and watch some of it, because I didn't realize as well how many episodes there are in that first season.
Oh, yeah.
There's like 70 episodes.
Oh, yeah, it's a big, long season because, if I may put my old man hat on for a second, seasons were longer for animation back in the day. They really were. Now it's like when Netflix drops a new show, it's like, well, here's 6 episodes, and then we'll give you 4 more later, we guess, when it's done. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know. We're going to break it into parts, and you've got a part every year or something.
Batman the Animated Series was crazy, too, because it had an era where it aired on Fox, and then Warner Brothers took it back, and it aired on there for the rest of the time. Like, I had a real Bernstein Bears moment when that hit me, and I was watching old, like, TV commercials. I'm like, wait, why was the Batman show on Fox? Batman is Warner Brothers, and has always been Warner Brothers, right? No, actually.
Not only that, the later seasons became like the New Adventures of Batman.
Yes.
So like again, people remember it being called that and not just Batman the Animated Series.
Yes, you know what episodes you were in when that happened because they changed the opening credits and they weren't as good.
And the Batsuit and all the designs were a little bit different.
They were a little different. People say they were a lot more Timified. Everyone started looking more triangular.
Yep.
Which I don't hate that. I'm cool with it. To think that, you know, they would change that Batman art so much because then they would change him again when they did Justice League and Beyond to have him match the art style of everyone else.
Yep.
Which gets even crazier because the first season of Batman was a weird neo-50s world set to kind of mirror the, the Tim Burton movies that had happened at the time. And then slowly Gotham just changes and isn't that anymore.
Yeah, it was really funny, like, watching this again, because I remember, like, watching a lot of the later season episodes back when it was starting to go into, like, the Justice League and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember the Art Deco style being in this and in the Superman animated series, but I never remembered it's so, like, 1940s-ish.
Oh, yeah.
So especially here with, like, stuff like cafeterias and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, they really went for it. Old-timey cars, Tommy guns, all the televisions were black and white. Although they would actually screw up a couple times and have it be color. But oh yeah, it's season 1 is a trip. And I'm sure people are wondering, well, what episode are you covering for season 1? Well, because this is a pilot episode and because we're still working out the kinks and because I am actually running the back end of this, I'm giving Matt a break at the end of every month. I decided we're going to look at a really weird episode. We're going to look at the episode See No Evil from season 1. I do believe it's episode 17 of season 1. And I'm sure people are already, like, smacking their heads and being like, really, Joel, for your first episode, you could have done a Heart of Ice or the Demon's Quest or any of the Harley episodes. Really, you picked the fucking episode where Batman fights the Invisible Man? Yes, I did.
Yeah, so again, all those are, like obvious choices.
Classics.
So you go with the unobvious choice.
Exactly. As I am going to try and show you, this episode is fucking weird. This is a really weird fucking episode, and it almost doesn't even gel with the rest of the show. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So yeah, this was episode 17 of season 1, See No Evil. The title is obviously a reference to the famous adage, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. And as with all famous Batman stuff, this one actually opens with a title card. And how fucking cool is this title card, Matt?
It is. It's very simple and gets across the point that you're going to be fighting an invisible man.
Yeah, it's not the best title card they would have, but I love that every episode had them. They kind of drop it when they got into, like, the New Adventures of Batman, the animated series. They'd kind of go away, and they would just have regular titles at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to like the whole like serials of the 40s and 50s and everything that a lot of these episodes are actually based on.
Absolutely. The other weird thing about this episode that you notice right away is that we don't begin in Gotham City proper. We begin in suburbia, in a house that isn't haunted, but sure as shit looks like it could be.
It's very rundown. It looks like a place where someone would go to smoke crack.
Yeah, it looks like a den of some variety, a trap house, if you will. It's nice to know in Gotham City that the whole place is shitty. It doesn't matter if you're living in the city or living in the suburbs. Everything is hot garbage in Gotham.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a thing. So we're introduced to, I was going to say main character, but that's not true. Batman is the main character of Batman, the animated series. Let's call her the character that this whole episode spins. And she's a little girl, and her name is Kimberly, or Kimmy for short. You can tell we're in the 90s, Matt, because Kimberlys were fucking everywhere.
A very popular name. Yes.
Very popular name back then. Obviously, of course, Batman, the animated series. No stranger to shaking stuff up, telling stories about kids, and having kid actors. What did you think about the actress who did the voice in this one?
She's pretty good, and I actually know who this actress is.
Oh, tell us, Matt. Tell us all about it.
This actress is the superstar actress Elizabeth Moss, who
holy shit,
people might remember starred in The Invisible Man last year.
Yeah, again, yet another story where she was bedeviled by a creepy-ass invisible man. What the fuck are the odds of that? I read that fact and it blew my goddamn mind, and it's yet another reason why I thought we should cover this.
It's very strange. I wonder if she even remembers doing this
maybe not.
Voice acting work while like doing that movie.
You gotta wonder, right? Of course, Moss you'll also know from like The Handmaid's Tale. I think she was in Mad Men and a bunch of other stuff. So she gets around. She's in a lot of stuff.
Yep.
Is she on Twitter? Maybe she'll see this. Hello. So yes, we see Kimberly late at night where a strange individual enters through her window, and oh man, I forgot how creepy this one actually was.
A lot of these episodes were creepy.
Yeah. This one especially really leaned into the gothic horror, and I mean the implication here, you don't need to be a psychiatrist to know the implications here are fucked up. An invisible man is entering a little girl's bedroom in the dead of night.
Yeah.
He's also plying her with presents and jewelry to try and earn her trust.
And then kind of like mind fucking her because he uses like her little doll and makes it seem like the doll is alive.
Yeah, I'm your imaginary friend. You don't need to worry about me. I'm your friend. I'm Jojo, which is, total like imaginary friend ass name right there. He also gives her a diamond necklace and says, now I know what you really wanted was a pearl necklace. And I'm like, oh. I hope that wasn't intentional. I really do. Now, again, very, very creepy insinuations here. It will get less creepy later, but then way creepier when you stop and think about it for a second, when, we really, really dig into it. So yeah, Kimmy lives with her mother, and, she reveals to Jojo, this weird invisible man, that, they'll be moving soon, which means he might not be able to find her again, which, really throws this guy into a tizzy there. He gets quite upset over this.
He does, yeah. He gets violently mad.
Very. We meet the mother, who we discover later her name is Helen, and Helen thinks nothing of her child just talking to no one in the dead of night because, she's just a kid, she's got an imaginary friend. Surely it's nothing I have to worry about as a 90s parent.
Again, a 90s parent in Gotham. Yeah, don't have to worry about
it. They got a lot of stuff going on, you know. I don't blame her. Single parent,
they're
Gotham.
living in a crack house.
They're living in a crack house in a bad neighborhood, but they're moving soon. You know, she's doing a good job, Helen. She's working her hardest, you know.
She's moving to the nicer crack house.
The nicer crack house across the street. Now, I guess in many ways you could call See No Evil like a very special episode or a PSA episode because it does deal with the subject of like kidnapping and luring and everything, but they never sold the episode as that, which I thought was very interesting. They never had like, the very special episode of Batman the Animated Series. Batman had a lot of special episodes, but they were never sold as special episodes.
No, it was part of the plot, and they made it so that you could easily understand that, like, oh, that's wrong. Doing drugs is bad.
Exactly.
That sort of stuff.
Yeah, they do this one here. They'll do a drug episode and a homeless episode later on, and I think we should cover that because, again, as I mentioned before, I'm ripping off OSW Review, and they do arcs. We should do the PSA arc for a lot of these. For a lot of these different DC shows and see how they handle it. Now, we get introduced to the Invisible Man, or Invisible Man in this case, and his name is Lloyd Ventrix, or Ventrix. The credits spell it one way, and everyone in the show pronounces it another way.
Yeah, I think it was Ventrix.
Ventrix, which, you know, obviously, if you know me, Matt, I'm a sucker for, like, names and the history of them and what they mean and everything. I researched that name really hard. Doesn't mean anything. Doesn't come from anywhere. Just a made-up bad guy name.
Bruce Timm and Paul Dini knew someone would do that and be like, haha, we made someone waste their afternoon.
Like 20, 30 years later, joke's on you, Jagoff. The name doesn't mean anything. So we see him out and about getting ready to commit invisible crimes. And, you know, this guy, I forgot how much, like, this first season had jokes, too, because he goes to change into his invisible costume, which is, like, creepy-ass cellophane. It basically looks like he's wearing a condom.
Yeah. He reminds me of in the new Watchmen TV series. Yeah. There's that one cop who's got like that mask that's like it's like a mirror, but it's like vacuum sealed like tinfoil onto his face. It reminded me of that.
Yeah, he's a bin bag man, you know. He's just wearing a big trash bag.
He's the trash man.
He's the trash man, Batman's greatest foe. This guy, you know, even though he seems to be doing quite well with, you know, robbing people, being an invisible man, he also might have the worst luck in the world because he's robbing a jewelry store that just so happens to have Bruce Wayne in it looking to buy a watch.
Yeah. What are the chances?
What are the chances? What I'm especially surprised by this is that we see Batman doing regular rich guy stuff. Like he actually has a day life, not just a night life. I found that very fascinating.
Yeah, it was quite interesting. It was also interesting, just like when we get like the establishing shot of this place. I liked that every character we saw looked shady.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone.
Like they look like really shady businessmen and everything. And then there's just Bruce Wayne.
Only in Gotham. I mean, you know, this Bruce Wayne is a lot more well adjusted than other versions of Batman, so I like the idea that he does like regular people stuff and wouldn't just like send Alfred to go buy him a new watch when he needed one.
And it's also interesting to know that like I could see this season of Bruce doing that, but I couldn't see like say Justice League's Bruce Wayne doing that.
It's true. This is what I believe we call early installment weirdness in TV trope land, is what we call this. Where characters do stuff in first seasons that you'll never see them do again. Let us also talk about the oh-so-classic Bruce Wayne pedestrian costume, a brown suit with mustard shirt and black tie. What a weird like choice in outfit, yeah?
Is there like any like reason why that was like chosen as his suit?
I don't think so. I really don't. I've never heard Paul Dini or Bruce Timm mention it, or if they do, they mentioned it like comedically, like why did we choose that?
Yeah, because I was gonna say like you kind of like when you think of like Bruce Wayne, you think he's gonna be in like a dark suit, like a navy blue shirt and black tie and sort of thing.
I mean, and obviously, because, he's not Superman. Superman, obviously, blue suit, red. We know the deal, right? Because it's mirroring his costume colors. Maybe the yellow shirt and the black tie is also kind of mirroring the Bat in a weird way, but why brown?
Yeah, I have no idea, but I tell you what, it makes him look like Dwight Schrute from The Office.
Yeah, kind of a little bit.
He dresses exactly the same.
Oh my god. So yeah, Batman just happens to be here when a crime breaks out, and I love the idea that if Batman wasn't here, he never would have known about the Invisible Man or any of this other stuff.
Not at all.
Invisible Man kind of makes a mockery of everyone in the place. He steals all the jewelry, he steals the security guys' guns, and is able to escape through the under construction sign. And oh yeah, construction is spelt wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't actually even notice that.
Animation error. Yeah, it's spelt wrong. Oops.
I also like that Batman kind of has his like 1940s like Superman flasher moment where he disappears into like the like bathroom, and then he just like bursts out through the door in the Batman costume.
The same bathroom that Ventrix put his Invisible Man suit on. Yeah. I forgot that the first season had jokes that you could almost even call Adam Westian, where there's a bit where there's like a guard there at the jewelry store who keeps needing to use the bathroom, but he can't because people keep changing into costumes.
Yeah, people keep barging past him, yeah.
Absolutely. There's even a bit later where, he chases Invisible Man to the construction site. It's like, I know you're there. And there's just one lone construction guy eating a sandwich being like, is he yelling at me?
Yeah, I like that as well. It's like dead of night, and the guy's like on his break. He's probably on like a 40-hour shift or something.
Well, I mean,
I don't know what he's doing. Surely there's like some OH&S guidelines about working a construction site during the dead of night.
This is Gotham. OSHA has no power here.
That's true. That's true.
What is specifically funny about this, too, is, we actually get to see Batman really work as a detective here. He's usually the one all about making himself invisible and being stealthy, and when he's fighting an invisible foe, he knows, oh, hey, I can see his footprints in the wet cement. If I throw some smoke, I can see his reflection. I'm like, what a cool way to remind us that Batman is smart.
Yeah, and then he throws some paint over the guy.
Yeah.
I also like that the suit, like, we get kind of like, it doesn't just make him invisible, but like stuff he touches goes invisible as well, like his briefcase, and it's got like some like heat function that like melts the paint off of him as well.
Yeah, he never uses the heat thing again, but you're right. The fact that he just doesn't make himself invisible, he makes other stuff disappear too. And hey, that'll be important later. That's called signposting. That's called Chekhov's gun in writing. It's very important. Don't you know? Now, while Batman is definitely smart in this show, he kind of gets his ass kicked by the Invisible Man in their fight.
Yeah, I actually kind of like this season 1 Batman who's like, he can even be beaten by just like a thug, a jewelry stealing thug.
A regular,
and kind of made an ass of. I mean, because he gets like falls in the cement and everything.
Oh yeah, he gets his bell rung there, which I guess makes sense too, because like you can be the best kung fu ninja scientist millionaire you want, but if an invisible man punches you in the side of the head and you don't know where it's from.
Yeah, that's good. And they also set it up so that like he can't tell where the guy's coming from because of the echo.
High ceilings, yeah.
Which is really quite cool.
It's smart. They thought about it too. But then again, I guess, this also speaks to something very true in Gotham City as well, and that is you can be a penny ante thug. You're only a set of powers and a gimmick away from being a Batman villain.
Pretty much, yeah.
So yeah, Batman gets, kind of schooled in this fight and like literally gets left on his back. If this was a wrestling match, that would have been the 1, 2, 3, and he's done. But you see, he's got to lose that first match so he can build back up to it later.
Yeah, he's got to have that arc.
Yeah. We see Ventrix back at his flop house there where he's counting his goods and, creepily obsessing over the picture of Kimmy, who we discover is actually his estranged daughter. It's okay, everyone. It's his estranged daughter. It's not like he climbed into the window of some strange little girl. He knows her. Oh, no, wait. That makes it creepy, too, that he's lying.
That makes it even worse.
That he's lying to his daughter and gaslighting her and pretending to be her invisible imaginary friend. No, that actually makes it worse.
Yeah.
The idea is that, he went to jail for committing some armed robberies, and the mother got a restraining order against him. And now that he knows that they're moving, he's going to, do whatever he can to make sure that doesn't happen, which means that this episode, See No Evil, is not just an episode about kidnapping and, child endangerment and child luring and everything. It's also an episode about parental kidnapping, which I do believe statistically, if a child is to be kidnapped, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be by someone they know.
Yeah, it's usually like a parent or a guardian or something.
Yeah, a friend or neighbor or something. So in a weird way, this episode from 1993 was actually ahead of the times in many regards. Which is yet another reason why Batman the Animated Series is great in these small, subtle, different little ways there. Yeah. Again, just to even further, really milk the creep factor too, we see Ventrix there is following around Kimmy and her mother during the day, and he's in the car with his hat down and everything.
Yeah, he's following them to the school, and then follows his ex-wife to her job, and when she goes out for lunch, he tries to buy his way back in and everything.
Yeah, he's like, it made sense that you put that restraining order on me and divorced me when I'm a bum, but now I'm making Invisible Man money. And he does that real dirtbag thing where he grabs her by the wrist and everything, that real 1940s, now Helen, you're being hysterical.
Yeah.
You're being hysterical, which is the worst thing a woman can be in this timeline. Now, the guy who voices Ventrix in this episode, that's Michael Gross, a hardworking character actor. Interestingly enough, though, this would not be his last DC Animated Universe gig. He would actually voice Terry McGinnis's dad, Warren McGinnis, in the first couple episodes of Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, too, because he's an invisible man, and what can Terry in Batman Beyond do? Go invisible? Huh.
Invisible, yeah.
Again, we never see the Invisible Man again or get reference to him, but I like to imagine that in the future, Bruce actually mastered this tech and was able to put it in the Batsuit.
Yeah, I could see that as well.
In the back of his mind, he remembers getting his ass kicked by the Invisible Man. He's like, never again.
Yeah, I want to be invisible as well.
Yeah, I want to fucking be invisible. I'm vengeance in the night, but what if no one could see me? Of course, Helen's big blow up at Lloyd ends with, I just want you to disappear. I want you out of our lives. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's total villainous origin right there. Oh, you want me to disappear? I'll disappear real good. Another thing about this Lloyd guy that gets me, and I'm sure you've noticed that this is a recurring thing in a lot of DC animated shows of this era. He's got these weird kind of pock marks on his face, like maybe he had smallpox as a child.
Yeah, that's a thing to signpost that he's like a bad guy. He's got that's his facial scarring.
Yeah, sort of thing. He doesn't take care of his face, which means he's bad. This recurs a lot in Bruce Timm animation. I think Two-Face has a couple redheaded henchmen later who have more or less the same haircut and the same pockmarks. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. The animators are telling us something. If you have bad skin in Gotham, you're evil. Yeah.
Well, hell, fucking Jimmy Olsen even had that in the animated series.
That's true.
Animated series.
Means you're untrustworthy is what we're saying. Now, what's funny about this episode, too, is that the cast is ultimately really small. We got Helen and Kimberly, we got the Invisible Man, Batman, no Alfred, no Robbins, but we do actually get to see Lucius and some of the other guys who work at Wayne Industries, because Bruce, again, figures, hey, is this mad science run amok in Gotham? I bet the Wayne Enterprises built it.
I bet my company did something to do this.
I bet we're involved somehow. Why? Because we're always fucking involved.
The one thing I really like about this I can't remember ever seeing it beforehand, but the Wayne Industries logo.
Yes.
That's actually exactly the same as the 1970s Warner Brothers logo.
Oh, that's right. It is. Holy shit.
That logo was round balls, but it's exactly the same sort of outline, basically.
Oh, good eye, Matt. Now I might be wrong, but I don't think the Wayne Enterprises logo ever looked like that ever again. I think this is more early installment weirdness.
Yeah, I can't remember ever looking like that.
Of course, Batman the Animated Series was loaded with references to other Warner Brothers properties and everything. Guards would always be reading Tiny Toons Adventures and everything. They would love putting that shit in there whenever they could.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, as we discovered from Wayne Enterprises, yeah, we did employ the scientist that made the invisible stuff, but don't worry, we fired him, and then he died.
Well, I think the idea was that like they were courting this one guy who had like some plastic that can go invisible,
right?
And before they could take the meeting, the guy like withdrew his offer and then mysteriously died.
Yeah, they seek to imply that it was of like natural causes, but I don't believe that.
No, again, Ventrix or someone probably murdered him.
Someone. It's interesting because, you know, when Batman goes after this, he ends up not going after the original doctor, but the doctor's assistant, who apparently continued the experiments. And while he does try and kill Batman by like dropping a bunch of boxes on him, we eventually find out that he's not that bad a dude, because he's actually trying to dispose of the invisibility plastic, because shocker of shockers, turns out this stuff is actually poisonous and will rot your brain.
Yeah, again, like the original
Invisible Man
sort of stuff, like the chemical that he took to go invisible, it like fucked with your brain and made you go insane. And same with like the most recent Invisible Man, going invisible like kind of fucks with you.
It fucks with your brain. And again, as we've seen, Ventrix was a, like, you know, friggin' lowlife already, so add this stuff to him and a power complex, and it's just an absolute cocktail for, you know, danger and madness.
Yeah, we didn't mention as well that Ventrix was apparently like the assistant, sort of lackey, like coffee boy, because he was like an ex-con. I have to imagine it was like some sort of work release program.
You'd think, or like, are these scientists just really progressive? Like, hey, you seem like a good guy with your pockmarked face. Come work for us with our dangerous invisibility tech. I'm sure nothing will go wrong. Really, really accepting these guys. Now, in the show, we discover that, you know, the plastic works because, you know, they put electricity through it and it doesn't reflect light the same way. So it's kind of like camouflage tech more than straight up invisibility. What is really interesting is that in my research, I discovered in the original draft of this script, it wasn't that it was poisonous. It was actually that it was explosive.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there was apparently a completely different finale for this episode planned, where Ventrix would kidnap his daughter, throw her in the car, and Batman would have to save her from getting exploded.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, the censors stepped in. They're like, whoa, you could not actually endanger the life of a child in a cartoon like that. All the other implied creepiness and kidnapping is fine, but you can't blow up children. Which is so funny, because it's like, yeah, that was totally 90s standards and practices, but I'm pretty sure you can threaten to blow up as many children as you want on TV now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In fact, it's, you know, it's expected to blow up children.
There's quotas to meet.
Quotas to meet. Now, Batman goes to visit the mother in suburbia, and man, again, I think this was an interview with Dini, where it's like, yeah, having Batman in suburbia just looks weird, whether it's night or day, because he just does not belong.
It's like, yeah, it's like Spider-Man.
Very much.
He's got to have those like big buildings to like brood on the side of and like swing from with these like grapple hooks and everything. Like I can just imagine Batman, because he's got nothing to like swing around. He's just running through like backyards.
Yeah, really. Because without those things, without like the city and the majesty of Gotham City, Batman just looks like a weirdo in a Halloween costume.
Yeah. Well, then he fits the neighborhood quite well.
True enough.
It's all crackheads and whatnot.
Yeah. Batman goes to see the mother and like really scares the shit out of her. You know, just no tact at all. It's like, I think your daughter, I think someone's gonna try and kidnap her.
I like how he just appears behind her. He's like, yeah, your daughter's in trouble. We're just going to get kidnapped.
Yeah, an invisible man did it. I'm not crazy. I'm Batman. And of course, because there wouldn't be a story otherwise, they come in way too late because Kimmy has already been taken. And, you know, they're all horrified and everything. And we actually see like a recreation of the title card from the episode where the windows open and the blinds are blowing and the doll is on the ground. Oh, no.
Yeah, someone's taken her.
Someone has taken her, but don't worry, Batman has a plan for this. He has a gun.
Yeah, he's gonna fucking shoot him.
He's gonna shoot him. Don't worry, it's a trank gun, but even still, it looks very weird to see Batman with a gun in his hand. Don't worry, Miss Helen, I got a plan for this. It's 9 rounds of hot lead. Wow, this really was a weird first season when Batman wasn't afraid to cap people. Remember that, everybody? No, what's great about this is that Batman doesn't go back to like the Batcave or even the Batmobile. to get any of this?
There's no like part in the second act where like he returns to the
to investigate
computer and like types in all the stuff to like find out who Ventrix is and whatnot.
Yeah, like he always does. Yeah, this episode breaks a lot of rules in that regard, where it's like, no, Batman prepared off screen. Don't worry. Also, too, this poor lady, her daughter has been kidnapped, her abusive husband has superpowers, and Batman just abandons her. He pulls a total Gordon on her.
Yeah, he just disappears, just like doesn't tell her to like call the cops or anything, call Gordon or anything, just like disappears.
Now, I get it, he has to rush and hurry and everything if he's gonna make it in time, but still, boy, does he not take this lady's feelings into account. And, hey, because it's Gotham, it's not just, like, creepy abandoned warehouses and run-down regular houses. We also have an abandoned drive-in movie theater.
Yeah, no amusement mile or abandoned circuses. We're doing the abandoned drive-in, which is kind of a cool setting.
It very much is. Again, we don't see that in anything else. It makes sense that it would be closer to suburbia, because, again, this whole finale mostly takes place in suburbia, which is crazy.
Yeah. And it gives something Batman to like swing off of.
Also that, which you absolutely need to have. It's funny too, I love even in the year 1993, they're like, nah, the drive-in theater industry is dying. It'll never return. Not unless there's some sort of deadly pandemic, but when will that ever happen?
Yeah, that'll never happen in our lifetime.
That'll never happen. So we enter the third act here, and the big reveal of Jojo, the imaginary friend, saying, okay, time to get into my creepy parked car now.
I fucking love how like he reveals himself to his daughter, but like he doesn't take the costume off. He just takes the mask off. So it's like this disembodied head floating around like the child and like leering at her and everything.
Oh yeah. To Kimmy's credit though, she ultimately proves to be a very smart kid in this like PSA episode, because up until now when she thought he was an imaginary friend, yeah, cool, yeah, I'll go with you, yeah, I'll take gifts and everything. Nah, I can't get into your creepy parked car though. We all know that's rule number 1, never get in the car.
Which means he would have had to have carried her all the way to that that drive-in. Like she's just like floating through like the streets.
I think she was walking a little by the end there. He doesn't have super strength or anything, and he's a deadbeat dad, so he ain't carrying you everywhere. I like that too. Once it's ultimately revealed, like, I'm your father, Kimmy. It's like, oh, well, you're a bad man. You like went to jail, and mom has a restraining order, and I'm not supposed to be around you. Yeah. Good on you, kid, for actually being smart and knowing some shit.
It's a bit too late. Bit too late,
but I appreciate the show respecting the intelligence of kids and not talking down to them. Like, we know you're not stupid, kids. We know you'd pimp out of there at this point.
That's true, yeah.
We know you'd pimp out. And indeed, she does run away, and we don't see her till the end of the episode because we can't have that whole child endangerment plot that was originally in the script.
No, she walked home alone in the dark.
Through the bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
She's fine. She's from Gotham. I'm sure she's a tough little broad. Now, again, as you mentioned, having a fight at the abandoned drive-in means Batman gets a cool entrance by the moon on top of the screen and everything.
Yeah, he even has kind of like a quip.
Very much so. Yeah, he's much quippier in this first season.
Yeah, a lot more than what I remember.
Same.
So I was like, wow, Batman's got jokes.
Same, yeah, I kind of memory hold a bunch of this episode, and it's funny, too. I remember, like, when this episode would air as a kid, I would always be kind of pissed, because I'd be like, oh, he's not fighting the Joker or Two-Face. This is bullshit. He's just fighting some invisible man. Fight a AAA rogue or I walk. Now, though, watching this back again as an adult and seeing all these little eccentricities and all this other stuff that, like, hits way harder now is kind of a treat, and there's a lot of episodes that feel like that in Batman the Animated Series, where it's like, oh, I hated this as a kid, I understand it and like it better now.
Yeah, and again, I am sure there's probably like dozens of episodes like that as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Across all these stories, because again, it was a cartoon that was made for kids, but there was stuff there for adults as well.
All ages appeal. So yeah, we head into our big action scene here for the finale, and enraged Ventrix gets into his car, and, to this guy's credit, he's actually rigged it to turn invisible too, so he's got like an invisible car to take on Batman.
Yeah, he's kind of smart.
Yeah, for like some low-rent thug and everything there, he has some ideas, and even Batman's like, well, fuck, I don't know what to do about this. This leads to a great bit where Batman manages to, jostle the car and jump on top, and, the chase keeps going through the city, and you got a couple winos there on the step. I didn't know he could fly, too.
I love just it was just such a funny visual of Batman, because you can't see the car, so it's Batman like sort of hunched over the top of this invisible car, just flying through the streets. A bunch of winos being like, "What the fuck was that?"
There's another story that Tim and Deanie tell, where they like sent some of the show, I think it was Justice League, off to Korea to be animated, and the script said, and Batman flies through the air, but the animation studio got it wrong, so he was like flying like how Superman or Wonder Woman flies. And they're like, well, how the heck did they get that one wrong? And the Korean studio's like, well, culturally here, if you have a cape, you fly like Superman, so that's on you, not on us.
Okay. Yeah, that's quite interesting.
Very interesting that they could make that mistake, and also this is as close as we get to Batman flying through the air. And hey, if you are an animation nerd and you want like your big boner popping moment, it's when Batman's on the top of the car and they're crashing through all the stuff there, and the invisible plastic starts coming off the car, and you start to see more and more of it.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool effect.
Again, they did this traditionally with pencils and on black paper and everything, so there was probably many sleepless nights to try and make that happen.
Yeah, make it look like halfway decent.
Yeah, make that look halfway decent. In an episode that I'm sure is nobody's favorite and is never on any of the top 10s, but you cannot say they half-assed it.
No, not at all.
They used their whole ass. Of course, this leads to a big showdown there where it's like, oh no, is the invisible car gonna get hit by an oncoming train? Because this is Gotham and there always seems to be oncoming trains.
We don't know where these trains go. They're just always oncoming.
The red line. Gotham's red line running every 15 minutes. And it's here we hit what I guess you could call the main event, where Batman needs to get his win back from earlier in the episode. And honestly, he kind of keeps getting the shit knocked out of him by this invisible guy.
I kind of love it. I'm so used to Bat God.
Yeah, wins everything.
He's got prep for everything, and he's infallible. And I just love this Batman just getting thrown around a rooftop.
Yeah, gets absolutely owned in this battle. And my favorite part is when Invisible Man pulls out a board with a nail in it.
It's even better as well, because he's not fighting someone like Bane or Killer Croc. It's like just some like schlubby guy who got like a bunch of magic saran wrap. Yeah,
that he cannot see. Another interesting thing about this, too, is that when it comes time for Batman to get some batarangs involved in the fight, he doesn't throw batarangs, he throws regular-looking shurikens, and I'm sure that was an animation issue.
Yeah, I imagine that was probably easier to do them than batarangs or something.
And because it's 3 seconds of animation, they're like, whatever. He causes one of the big water towers to start leaking, which in doing so makes it so he can see the Invisible Man, which again is very true of a lot of Invisible Man stories. That's how they beat him.
Yeah, that's how some of the climax of the recent movie ended.
Yep, gotta use the word. Again, to think something written in 1993 is just as true and just as, sound storytelling all these years later.
Yeah.
And in a nice touch, too, when Batman finally does get the upper hand on this guy, he, one punches him. All it took was one punch to take him out.
Yeah. Which kind of makes sense. The guy's again, it probably feeds into the whole Invisible Man sort of thing. He's cowardly.
Yeah.
And the guy was kind of a coward, so of course it would take one punch to knock him out.
To finish him out. And Batman was really angry by that point, too. He's like, God, I hope no one from the League is watching this right now. I'll never live this shit down. He unmasks him, takes him off to prison, and we never see the Invisible Man again, nor is he ever referenced. This is a one-off villain. Even the ninja from Night of the Ninja, Day of the Samurai got 2 episodes.
Just kind of fitting for the Invisible Man. He just, disappeared.
Also, the guy who wrote this episode kind of disappeared, too. He wrote this, and he wrote Paging the Crime Doctor, and he's one of, the 5 people who wrote Mask of the Phantasm, but yeah.
Okay.
And I'd argue way more people like Paging the Crime Doctor more. And Paging the Crime Doctor, much like this episode, hated it when I was young because it had no supervillains in it. Really appreciate it now as a gangland mob story.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in this episode. So we get the big happy ending there. Mother and daughter are reunited. They're ready to move, I think, the next day. And she's like, oh, who are you talking to now, honey? Oh, I'm just talking to Batman. So she traded talking to one weirdo in a costume out her window to another weirdo.
And the thing is as well, like the mother is like here, she's very like, oh yes, yeah, Batman, yeah, whatever you say. Like she isn't like worried or anything that like yeah, it could be Batman, but then it also could be some other fucking weirdo.
Yeah. Don't you think you should be extra vigilant now, lady? And the best part is that Batman really is up there on the roof, and it's like, dude, you could have stayed though. You saved her kid. Yeah. She probably would have made you like coffee and cookies and shit.
Yeah, she's seen you before. You don't need to be all mysterious and everything.
Yeah, I'm Batman. I'm mysterious. But yeah, so that's the episode, everyone. That's See No Evil. And what a weird episode. I don't know if it's anyone's favorite, but it's, one of those episodes that has always stuck with me long after I watched it, which is why I thought that this should be, the first episode of the Retro Hero video podcast.
It's an interesting episode because it is just sort of like a nondescript episode, yet they kind of went like above and beyond with like the details and stuff, like you said, like the car and everything, and like all the references to like the actual Invisible Man stories and stuff with the chemicals that make you go crazy and whatnot, just all that sort of stuff, which wasn't needed in just like a non episode that no one really cares about, but they did it.
Yeah, I think it stands as like a testament to like even the episodes you don't remember from Batman the animated series, even the ones that weren't like instant classics, were still pretty goddamn good 22 minutes of television.
Yeah.
They were still pretty solid. And again, too, I appreciated this one for being like, oh, you did a very special episode. You did a public service announcement without really doing a public service announcement. And in fact, as an adult, I appreciate it later because you tackled the very difficult subject of parental kidnapping, which I feel even shows today would have trouble tackling that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this one did it so seamlessly.
Yeah, it did it very well. Very not heavy-handed or anything like that.
Now, again, this aired February 1993, and I thought it would be fun to end out the show. What else was going on this day and time? It was a Wednesday, and so here's some stories from that time there. The number one movie in the country at the time was Groundhog Day.
Okay.
Pretty solid movie. The number one song in America, and I guess the world at that point too, was I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, so you could have been rocking out to that and watching this episode when it was new. So that's fun. What else was there going on? Ooh, in Canadian news, what is it? Brian Mulroney stepped down as leader of the Conservative Party in Canada because he's, what is it? He was really in the dirt at that time there. His popularity couldn't have sunk lower. I know that sounds crazy now to think a politician actually stepped down because they were unpopular.
Yeah, that never happens nowadays.
Yeah, it was 93, it happens. Even if you know nothing about Mulroney or Canadian politics, you might know his son, Ben Mulroney, because he like hosted our Entertainment Tonight here for a couple years.
Okay.
Yeah, he was like Canadian Ryan Seacrest. He got all the fucking hosting jobs and everything. Which, honestly, hey, better than getting into politics. Good on you, man. You do you. And, what else was there going on? Who's the guy who sings Layla? Turns out he's a big racist now. He won a Grammy that year.
Oh, wow. I can't remember.
So there you go. 1993 news, everyone. Hopefully, if this becomes a big show and people like this will be a segment that will end every episode looking what else was going on at the time when these shows were big and when they initially aired. So thank you so much for watching and listening, everyone. Thank you so much, Matt, for being my co-host on this one, and also by delivering and helping me out with the intro to this one. That is really cool. And we'll hopefully be back again next month if this is popular. Again, I got some episodes in mind and some shows I want to cover, but if you have an idea about an arc or an episode you want to see us cover, tell us down in the comments section below, and Matt and I will be sure to try and get to it.
Definitely.
Also, too, I guess this video and all content on the channel throughout the month of December has actually been brought to you by our brand new friends at Escure Wallets. They make fun stealth wallets. The holiday season is coming up there. You got to find a gift for dad, a gift for your uncle, and everyone there. Who doesn't want a wallet that can keep all your cards, all your money, and oh, look at this. It's spring-loaded. Spring-loaded.
Spring-loaded. Excellent.
Spring-loaded with great deals and everything. Keep your pockets nice and clean and everything there. Don't be like me. Don't carry around a big fat piece of leather with a chain. You don't have to anymore.
Times are changing.
Times are changing. It's not 1993 anymore, and you're not an invisible man. People can see your ugly wall, but they can almost not see this. This is almost invisible tech. And if you use my link down in the description there, you will get a very, very generous percentage off your first order. And you'll be helping us out, too, because you'll be telling other companies, hey, we need the Retro Hero Video Podcast push. You know, we need that bump moving forward. And I mean, that only does good things for us.
It does, yeah.
So until then, everyone, we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.